What's up, Ragin Nation? How's it going? This is Alex here, and you're watching the Marvel edition of the Ragin Nation show. This is just a web series where we're talking about all things matter to me in the world of Marvel films. This is episode number 70, and in this episode, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about Avengers Age of Ultron in my spoiler-filled review discussion video. Be warned, this video gets into spoilerific territory. Now, I also posted a spoiler-free review in the previous video. I can let you know my thoughts and feelings about the movie without getting into specifics. So if you want to see that, check out the previous video. But for now, we're going to talk about specific things that I really loved about this film and things that I also thought could have been improved. Now, in a nutshell, I thought that Avengers Age of Ultron met my expectations. It did not exceed them. But I thought it was a great installment in the franchise and in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And I felt that Joss Whedon did a great job, but the original is still better. Alright? What did I love about this movie? Alright? Well, it really comes down to specific moments in the movie. As a whole, I really felt that Joss Whedon gave us something that was more unique and dynamic by really giving us more subplots and giving characters a little bit more depth and backstory. But as for specific moments in the movie that really made me feel like this is an awesome movie, well, let's talk about them right now. Let's start off with the opening sequence. Wow. Okay? You get that long tracking shot. They call it a tracking shot, and what it means is that it tracks the actions all the way from the beginning of the sequence all the way till the very end of the sequence. We got this sort of thing in the New York battle in the first Avengers, where you see the actions of every single character in one single long take. We get that in the opening sequence. The movie starts off with a bang. It gets right into the action, and to be completely honest, that sequence where you see the Avengers versus that Hydra cell, that sequence alone, it's a very short sequence, but it is an amazing sequence, is as good as the New York battle. Now, I know that is a pretty, that's a pretty strong thing to say, but I felt that the amount of, positive feelings that I got from it just made me feel like, okay, this is going to be an awesome movie. Joss Whedon has already won me over just from this sequence alone. That was awesome. And what I loved about it is because of the same thing that happens in the New York battle. And that is the Avengers working so well as a team. When they work separately, okay, they don't work as good. They're actually quite weak, all right? They get beat when they don't work, when they work not as a team. But when they work as a team, it is so organized. They have a plan of attack. They're communicating. And you see how great their chemistry is physically when they do battle together. All right, they ask for each other's help. They do things, and then it's follow up by their partners. All right, it is so good. All right, very great sequence. The next thing I loved is the Thor Hammer sequence. They had this party, like a celebration party, and then it was actually a great sequence as a whole. You get Stan Lee's cameo, you get the appearance of James Rhodes, all right, and also Sam Wilson. So it was great to see them. And on top of that, the Thor's hammer sequence where they all lifted, where they attempted to lift it up, and then you see Captain America almost lifting it up, and you see his the reaction from Thor. That was priceless. That sequence, that entire sequence was brilliant. And then even Black Widow refused to lift it up, and her exact quote was something like, I don't really need to see the result of that, or that's not a question I need answered. And that is actually a nod to the comics, because something does happen to her character when she attempts to lift it up. All right, so that is actually really cool. A lot of humor in that sequence, and it really actually leads up to something later on that occurs in the future of later on in the movie, which I'm going to talk about later on. All right, speaking of James Rhodes and Sam Wilson, I love that they included them in the movie. All right, this is after all Phase 2. All right, when Phase 2 happens, there's going to be addition of new characters. All right, I mean, we got Falcon. I know that Don Cheadle as James Rhodes was introduced in Phase 1, but the fact is that he continues to be friends and partners with Tony Stark in movies like Iron Man 3. So to see him appear again and also help out in the final battle at Sokovia, that was really, really cool. And he also provides a lot of humor every time he's every time he appears, he has something funny to say, and I love that. All right. As for Sam Wilson, I'm actually not disappointed by the fact that he didn't contribute to the Sokovia battle. It's something that I kind of expected, but if he did show up, that would have been cool. Imagine if Nick Fury called for reinforcements, and then War Machine came out, and then Falcon also came out as well. That would have been cool. It would have been a short sequence as to not put too much focus on their characters, but still, it would be very cool as a peace of mind to know that he's part of the team, alright? Now, the reason why I knew that he wasn't going to appear was because I did see him in person in Emerald City Comic Con, and he did mention that he wasn't even aware that he was in the movie until later on in just like maybe a month in a few months before the release of the movie, they called him in to say that, hey, we need you to film a couple of scenes, all right? And you know, there's only enough time to film a party scene and also a simple scene as him walking into the scene at the end of the movie. Those are very easy to film. It only takes 2 days of filming for something like that. 1 day for one sequence and another day for the end sequence, all right? As for War Machine, why he was able to get more scenes in and why he was able to contribute to the battle, well, technically speaking, all he's doing is filming himself in the heads-up display. That's all it is. It's very simple. It doesn't take like more than a day. Had he appeared in the Iron Man suit, he'd have to, or rather in the War Machine or Iron Patriot suit, he would have had to do the costume thing, you know, and it might, because it's an action sequence, it might have to be more than a couple of days of filming. And Sam Wilson as Falcon would have been more days of filming because he'd have to be hung on wires, he'd have to get into wardrobe. It's a lot of work. So I expected him to not do anything or rather contribute to the Sokovia battle. All right. As for a new addition known as Vision, very, very cool. I love the fact they included Vision. I also love the fact that they did the best they could to give like a typical comic book looking character with the cape and the vibrant colors a really realistic look. The way he looks in the film is perfect. The way he looks in the film is basically a real live action interpretation of what he would look like, of what he looks like in the comics, and they did such a great job with it. I love it. Paul Bettany was perfect, and I love that like he is the anti-Ultron. Okay, he goes up against Ultron. He contributed to the battle. He doesn't have a lot of screen time, which is unfortunate, but when he's on screen, he's cool. Okay, so very, very awesome, and I love that scene where it's a very short sequence, but where he fires. You know, shoots the laser from the mind gem. Tony Stark uses his palm blasters, and then Thor uses his lightning to shoot at Ultron. That was cool. It's something I didn't expect, and it was something which shows once again why I love the Avengers working as a team. When they work together, it looks great. I mean, it looks great, and it makes us as fans feel great. Okay, so that was very, very cool. Let's talk about one of the most biggest highlights of the movie: Hulk versus Hulkbuster. All right, they refer to Hulkbuster as Veronica. I'm not sure why. Something I wasn't quite aware of, but they kept on talking about Veronica, and then Hulkbuster comes, and I love the entrance. First of all, it starts off with such a grand entrance. He hides the Hulkbuster armor in space. Okay, it's just like a satellite roaming around the world until she's called upon, and then the way it comes together was just like. Oh, so good. A lot of people wonder why Hulk is fighting like a Hulkbuster. Is he a bad guy? And of course that was caused by mind control from Scarlet Witch. And then we bring in Hulkbuster. Grand entrance. Great sequence. I love the boom, 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 boom. Like the go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep. That was cool. And it completely exceeded my expectations. I really thought it was just going to be fighting, like, you know, a lot of punching. That's all it was. It was way more than that. It was full-on city destruction. As the way it should be. Hulk and Hulkbuster, they're titans, okay? They should be, you know, creating lots and lots of destruction, which they completely did. And then, it does a whole lot of other things too, like such as it was able to you know, trap Hulk's arm inside his forearm, and that was really cool. And when the arm just gets broken, new parts come together. Super cool. All right, so they did a great job with that. Speaking of which, another duo was Captain America versus Ultron. Was that not cool or what? Captain America versus Ultron in Seoul. Now, I was questioning how Captain America is so powerful. I know he's a superhuman, but he took a lot of blasts, okay? Tony Stark was able to survive a blast from Ultron because he wears armor. Captain America, while he is a superhuman, he's still human. He was able to survive a laser blast from Ultron, and he keeps on surviving them. He keeps on taking hits by them, but still, it was a great fight. It was vibranium versus vibranium. It was a small team effort with the help of Black Widow and a little bit of help from Hawkeye, but still, it was pretty much Captain America's moment to shine. Every single one of these characters have their moments to shine. Hulk, Captain America, Iron Man. The only one that doesn't get a whole lot is Thor, all right? And Thor, you could only do so much of with his character. Really just a bit of like fighting, hand-to-hand combat, flying, shooting lightning. That's all he can really do. But I think that he plays a bigger part in the movie, and really that is something that I feel is a bit disconnected to the rest of the plot, and that is setting up the next movie. All right, he sets up the next movie, and that is pretty much his sole purpose in the movie. But like, still, he does what he could. Okay. And then, of course, another thing that I loved about this movie is the addition, or rather the introduction of the new Avengers. Now, this really only happens at the very, very, very end of the movie, and that is when he says, "Let's check out the new trainees, or or check out the new recruits, or let's whip them into shape." And then they just start appearing. Ellen Silvestri's score, I know it was scored by Brian Tyler, but Ellen Silvestri's heroic Avengers theme was still playing in that moment. And then you get to see Vision, Wanda Maximoff, Falcon in his new uniform, his new uniform, and also War Machine, appear, and it just really gives you goosebumps and makes you want to cheer. All right, so those are the things I loved. I mean, I really loved about this movie. All right, let's talk about the things that I thought could have been improved. Okay, Thor's subplot. I thought that was, like I said, very, very disconnected. It was about that dream sequence, and you really needed to read the comic books to know what that pool of water was about. I mean, that is something that is very, very mysterious, and if you did not know about what that was all about, then you would be a bit lost. That dream sequence felt, like I said, very disconnected because the main purpose was really to set up the next film. I think that they could have tied that in a little better. Okay. Yeah, so not really that great. Black Widow and Hulk's romance, even though it never occurred in the comic books, it wasn't the fact that it didn't occur in the comic books that made me feel like it was out of place. It was just that I felt that I love them working as a team. This would jeopardize the team. Now, I know they're all human and they got emotions and stuff, but and I also appreciate the fact that we were given Black Widow's backstory, but still, it felt like it didn't belong. As a matter of fact, think about it. If they removed the romance out of the story and all her flirtation and how he's feeling like it's a forbidden love, if we removed all that, it's really the same movie. Hulk could have felt that, he felt really, he could have felt or been written the way that he felt bad about all the destruction caused. He's like out of control, and he felt that he needed to leave the team, and that's why he decided to exit through a jet, through the Quinjet, and take off somewhere. And maybe that could have been written in that way, but you know what, the romance really wasn't needed. Okay, it didn't add much to the story. Okay, so but it was kind of a tool that was used to explore more of Black Widow's past because she needed to confess a few things. All right, so that is that. Quicksilver had to be compared to the X-Men Quicksilver. It just had to be compared. Which is going to be the better one, all right? While we didn't get to see a whole lot of Quicksilver in X-Men Days of Future Past, that sequence in the slow motion was awesome, was the best part of the movie, alright? As for Quicksilver, they decided not to replicate that, but they decided to have a couple of those slow-mo moments. I'm thinking, why the heck not? Why wouldn't they replicate it? You know, it was just him running around in lightning, and, you know, it gets a little bit repetitive, we get it, that's a special ability, but show us something cooler. Like, for example, every time he was able to go in regular speed, and then everything else slows down, and he's able to punch Captain America in slow-mo. He's able to grab Thor's hammer in slow-mo. He's able to see a bullet in slow-mo. Those are really Quicksilver's best moments. Okay, it's because it's very, very visually pleasing. When we just see this like lightning running around, you know, really quick speeds, we don't really get to see anything, and we appreciate the fact that that's his ability. But the best parts is when they really use the effect at its most optimum level, and that is doing everything in slow motion. And I understand Joss Whedon didn't want to replicate X-Men, but still, it works. Alright, so, hey, by the way, speaking of Quicksilver's death was something that I thought was sad, but I wasn't that surprised by it, because if you didn't already know, Aaron Taylor Johnson, as much as he's an actor that Joss Whedon really, really wanted, Aaron Taylor Johnson was actually skeptical about signing on because he was really concerned about the multiple contract deals. So they decided to only write him in for this movie, kill him off. So that's why Aaron Taylor Johnson agreed to do the movie, because you know, as much as he wanted to do it, he really didn't want to be signed on for multiple films. So most likely we won't be seeing him come back. And it was unfortunate that he died. All right. And now, this leads me to talk about Ultron, okay? Ultron, like I said, he was great when, as he's portrayed by James Spader, but what Joss Whedon did with them wasn't really as strong as he could be, alright? The development of his character was just like, it was very, very abrupt. First, he's like an AI entity, and suddenly, boom, he's Ultron, like in a physical form, alright? And we just don't see that a visual representation of his character developing physically, like from Mark 1 to Mark 2, from Mark 2 to Mark 3. I think it would be cool to see that, and I think it would be cool to see Ultron as not just a you know, witty like dialogue remarking robot, you know. A lot of the times we are just really seeing him speak in not really one-liners, but just witty remarks. All right, and I like that James Spader portrayed him like the way he portrayed him, but it was Joss Whedon's direction for him, and that is he with a very with a character that's not like developed like properly. He just doesn't really provide that much oomph. You know, the oomph factor is not there when it comes to the final battle, because what he really does is that he's really, really quite invincible because he's made of vibranium, and then he flies and he punches and he shoots lasers. I mean, that's what he does in the comics, all right? But I think that it could have been done better had he not been like such an entity that keeps on downloading himself into other things and not dying. What, Ultron died, what, four times in the movie? Like, he died when he got shot by the blasts. He died when he was thrown from the Quinjet by Hulk onto the ground, and then he died again once Wanda Maximoff pulled his heart out, and then he died again when Vision shot the mind gem at him. So, like, when is he really dead? And when is there that moment where you just feel like, okay, this bad guy just got completely owned and it was an awesome fatality? We didn't get that. We didn't get that at all. It was a very gradual death, which was really quite underwhelming, okay? But James Spader's performance was awesome, okay? That's all I gotta say about his character. Vision and Ultron, okay? This was kind of predictable, okay? We knew that Vision was the anti-Ultron, and we knew they're gonna go head-to-head, but we didn't get to see them go head-to-head enough. It would have been cool if all the Avengers could not beat Ultron. They just couldn't beat Ultron. But then Vision, who is the anti-Ultron, is the main event. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody else cannot fight him. They just are no match for Ultron. All these minions keep on overwhelming them. But it would be cool if Vision is the one who really is the one that is the main event. I'm talking about final battle, like mano a mano, Ultron versus Vision. All right, round 1, round 2, round 3, final round. I'm talking about that. It would have been cool to see that. We didn't get that, and that was a little bit unfortunate. It was a bit underwhelming. It made the third and final act feel very, very formulaic, and that is just fight, fight, fight as a group, montage, money shots, visual spectacle, whatever. All right, so it didn't do a whole lot for me. Finally, the last thing I got to talk about, the ending sequence. Thanos, Infinity Gauntlet. He says, now I'll get him myself. When and where the hell did he get that gauntlet? When and where the hell did he get the gauntlet, okay? How was he able to access it, all right? Did he just show up in Thor's, the relic room and just grab it? I mean, in Asgard, okay? In the Asgard relic room, he just grab it? He just waltzed in there and grabbed it? I mean, I guess we're supposed to assume that, all right? But that was a little bit of a... That was cool. That was cool that they added that in, but it was a bit of like a WTF moment when you really think about it as a Marvel fan, all right? Because I'm just thinking, when the hell did he get that? When did this occur in the thing? I guess Loki slipped him in Asgard, considering he is the current ruler of Asgard. So anyways, that's all I gotta say in this video. This was my spoiler chat review. I really, really enjoyed it. Like I said, the movie met my expectations, but it did not exceed them. All right, 8.5 out of 10. And if you want to comment on anything that I talked about, let me know in the comment section below. You're free to chat about anything you want, spoilerific stuff. Let me know what you loved about the movie. Let me know what you didn't like about the movie, and let me know any comments you felt about anything I had to say in the comment section. So that's all I gotta say in this video. We're gonna talk a little bit more about Avengers: Age of Ultron in the upcoming videos, so stay tuned for that. A lot of people haven't seen it yet, so there's gonna be more and more videos because this is a big event film of the summer, of the year, and of course I'm gonna give you more material to watch. So there you go. That's all I gotta say in this video. As always, if you enjoyed this review video, hit the like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel, like me on Facebook, The Ragin Nation. Also follow me on Twitter at Ragin Nation. My name is Alex Yu. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Peace. Chemistry in this movie between the characters. I thought that it was very well written, and Joss Whedon did a great job with really, really exploring that. Now, speaking of the characters and their chemistry,